Hey folks, good morning.
Morning.
Zero viewers right now.
No, nothing's showing up yet.
It takes a while.
Oh, it was zero. In a few minutes, people join.
Yeah, there's a delay. A slight delay. So can you see something there?
Yeah, we're 5 now.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
Hey folks, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which side of the world you are. Super excited to be part of this second hangout from the Azure Stack PM team. We want to make this a regular occurrence, and we're hoping to sort of really get your feedback on what you really want from us. Down to zero again.
I think people are refreshing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do today was, we got a very major conference coming up next week called Microsoft Ignite in Orlando. We got 25,000 people coming over to Orlando to sort of have a discussion with Microsoft with all aspects of technologies that not only Microsoft provides, but our partners and ISV community provides as well. And so we're going to be there as a part of the Azure Stack team as well with a pretty significant presence. And what we wanted to do today was have a dialogue and a discussion with you to share with you what we are planning to do at Ignite and give you an insight into how to sort of navigate Ignite, if you will, from an Azure Stack viewpoint. Ignite basically starts on Monday, which is the 25th of September, and runs through Friday. Overall, we have 27 sessions from an Azure Stack perspective, which range all the way from overview sessions being done by Jeffrey Snover and Mark Rusinovich. I'd certainly encourage you to attend that as well. And then we've got other sessions from Natalia and Bradley to talk about sort of various aspects of hybrid application development. I'll be giving a session which focuses more on how to deal with the infrastructure, how to think about scaling. And then we've got detailed sessions on various aspects of Azure Stack, ranging from IaaS to how you should think about backup, how you should think about patching, how you should think about identity. And so, it's a pretty good lineup of sessions from that perspective. In addition, while you're at Ignite, we are going to be the PM team for the most part. I think almost 26 of us are going to be there, I think, while we are there at Ignite. So, and we've got our own T-shirts, actually. I wish we had one here. We'll probably try and get one before the end of this and show you what the T-shirt looks like. So if you see somebody wearing that T-shirt, that individual is on the Azure Stack team. So stop by and have a chat with them. We'll have booth presence. We have 4 booths in the booth area to talk about hybrid application development, infrastructure as well, and you can come and have a good discussion with us on regarding at any point. In addition, we have 3 different ways for you to experience Azure Stack in a hands-on manner. In the hands-on lab, we've actually got an ARM lab which focuses on how to actually do application development with Azure Stack. We also have an Azure Stack immersion, where you have 3 different booths and you can experience different aspects of Azure Stack. And lastly, we're going to have an online Azure Stack lab, the cards for which you need to come to the Azure Stack booths to collect them. And we give you a code, and you can then basically go access those labs while you're at Ignite. So a hell of a lot of stuff that we can do. And I'm going to go get one of those T-shirts so I can show you. But we should get started.
All right. You want to go to the session list,
Yeah,
Daniel? So let me share my screen here. All right. Okay, so at this point, you should be able to see my screen. Let's just make sure, yes, you can see my screen.
Mm-hmm. You can see it now.
Okay, so
I can see it now.
So this is a list of all our sessions, and what we will do is we will just go over the room. We have some of the presenters are here, so we just cover those sessions, and I will start with Brad's session. We will basically give a high-level overview of hybrid development on Azure Stack. That's an end-to-end overview how to develop solutions in Azure Stack. And then we also have a session from Natalia, which is about the Azure Stack strategy. And then there's a session with Jeffrey Snover and Mark that VJ mentioned. That session will cover, the digital transformation trends and how you can leverage Azure and Azure Stack for that transformation. And then VJ will be talking about operations. VJ, what you are going to talk on your session?
Yeah, well, so my session is, if you really want to get an understanding, left to right view of how you should think about planning for Azure Stack. I'll talk a little bit about, at a high level, how you should think about integrating Azure Stack into your data center. I'll talk about how it is actually delivered into your data center. What partners we have to make that happen. I will talk about what are the operational experiences that we have developed so that you can actually operate Azure Stack in your data center. What does the admin portal look like? How do you think about patching? What policies do we have around patching? How should you think about backup, whether it pertains to user workloads versus how you think about backing up infrastructure? How should you think about disaster recovery? So those are the things I'll basically talking about, and I'll touch a little bit about how you can expand your IT skills to sort of talk about the new training that we are going to announce called Azure Stack Operator, and so I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. So think of that as sort of a must-go session if you really want to understand how to operate Azure Stack, and then there are following from that session, there'll be a whole bunch of detailed sessions specifically targeted on some aspects of the lifecycle that you're talking about.
Very good. Charles, what you're going to talk about?
So my session is really about the Azure Stack Development Kit, who, what, where, when, why it matters kind of thing. It'll just be going through sort of what it is, what it should be used for, what it shouldn't be used for, and then I'll be giving some demos on just general usage of it. A lot of it will be stuff that I've discussed or shown videos on YouTube, but I'll do some live stuff and some new stuff. So.
That's super cool. Thank you, Charles. We also have a session, another session from Brad, understanding Azure Stack through the lens of customer use case, and this particular session brings our experience interviewing hundreds of customers in the past year or so, and discussing with those customers Azure Stack usage scenarios. So Brad and Filippo will bring those use cases to the light and some concrete examples what can be done with Azure Stack. And then Daniel, what is your session about?
Yep, so we're going to follow on from VJ's session and spend a little bit more time talking about and demoing the operating scenarios of Azure Stack. We'll talk a little bit about more detail on the Azure Stack Operator and spend some time talking about the various aspects of how you run Azure Stack in your data center, the things you should care about in the context of running IaaS and the monitoring scenarios. We'll talk a little bit about backup, and we've got some really cool demos that Charlie's going to be doing as well. So.
All right. Alfredo, it seems that you are talking about business and support model. Is that correct?
So it does, yes. Yeah, that's going to be an overview of the different options available for purchasing Azure Stack and the software that runs on it, which tends to be a confusing topic. So we'll have an opportunity to talk about that and do Q&A, and that is the first half. The second half is then about the support model and support offering, and I will be joined by Chang for that part. So it's really a joint session between the two of us.
Good. We do have a couple of app service sessions with Andrew Westgard, our app service wizard. So those sessions will definitely be very interesting for you that is interested in developing modern apps with Azure Stack and leveraging app service. to do so. We also have a security and compliance a session with Filippo and Jeffrey Snover. And another session from Matt and Nanjay. Nanjay,
over here. Hello.
you here? So what you were talking on this session?
So we're talking about edge-based computing with Azure Stack. We'll talk about what it means to have an edge platform and why Azure Stack makes a great edge platform, and and we'll walk you through developing for a connected edge and public cloud solution.
And I don't want to, ruin the surprise of your session, but are you going to cover any topics of, how you create your pipeline to target those
Yes.
clouds?
Yeah, we'll be creating a hybrid edge computing DevOps pipeline, so that way you can have individual parts of your application in Azure and Azure Stack, and how you can have the two tested as a single unit.
Nice. That's very nice. Hector,
Yes,
what
sir.
is your session about?
So for the business continuity and disaster recovery session on Wednesday, I'll go through the mindset that we have for Azure Stack on how we are treating protection of tenant resources in IaaS and PaaS, and also how to think about the infrastructure protection from an administrative perspective, and really walking through the changing in mindset and the design principles from an architecture perspective on how to treat Azure Stack as an extension of Azure in your cloud, as opposed to an evolution of the virtualization platform like Hyper-V or VMware. And so we'll talk through the partner relationships that we're building on being able to do backup recovery and also disaster recovery from the tenant space. We'll walk through discussion on actual disaster recovery and how to bring back Azure Stack in the event of something catastrophic taking the stamp down. So it's going to be a good session, all about continuity and thinking about the worst case.
Nice. All right. So David and Scott, you guys are going to talk about IaaS, is that correct?
It's going to be a good session, all about
Yeah, every day I use Azure Stack IaaS. I'm amazed at what's in there and what you can do with it. So for 45 minutes, we're going to go through and show you all the highlights of what you could do, lots of demos. So come if you want to learn how to really kick the tires of IaaS running on Azure Stack, and we'll have a good time.
All right. So I will be covering some of my developing hybrid apps on Microsoft Azure Stack. This is a click down on the overview that Brad starts the week with. And I'll be covering end-to-end from Visual Studio 2017 to CLI and the SDKs, and all the way to having some workloads on Azure Stack and how you leverage all those pieces to create your hybrid solutions. So there is a capacity session, Spencer.
That's right. I'll tell you how you need to spend your money on hardware. So yeah, we'll go through and describe how to think about the architecture for Azure Stack and what it means for capacity planning, so you can figure out essentially kind of what the size of the system you need to purchase if you're looking at Azure Stack as a solution. Taking a look at the number of servers, their storage and memory configurations, and how to think about that. So we'll go through and describe that in detail and kind of walk through it. So, and hopefully we'll have plenty of time for questions in that session as well.
Nice. Another session from Anders from our CAT team, which is our customer advisory team. It's making it real how Azure Stack was implemented in a large hoster. Anders will bring the experience from the CAT team working with customers on real deployments to that session. There is an integration, integrating Azure Stack with your data center from Thomas. And Thomas will cover all the aspects. When you bring Azure Stack to the data center, how you enable that system with other existing functionality of your data center. And Mark from the CAT team as well will talk about expanding marketplace with production-ready solutions. We do have another session from Alfredo on usage and billing.
Yes, this session is going to deal in particular with how you can find information about your usage. So using both the Azure Commerce and the billing portal, as well as the local usage APIs, interfacing Azure Stack with billing systems that you have, and all of those things. So if you are a corporation that has a chargeback system and you want to fit Azure Stack into it, or if you are a service provider and you want to connect Azure Stack to your billing systems, this is a session that's going to be useful to you.
All right. Shri, what you are talking about?
I don't know yet.
Okay, let's move on.
I'm going to be discussing identity fundamentals for Azure Stack. We're going to get past all the different topologies that Azure Stack can be configured with, just the usual stuff for a little part of the presentation. But once we're done with that, we're going to get into a little bit more exciting set of topics where we're going to be discussing all the functionality that we have both in Azure as well as Azure Stack, which will help an app developer build a hybrid app that spans across clouds and can authenticate with consistent code, and see how an application that you build can interact with Azure, Azure Stack, or even other Azure clouds by being completely agnostic to the cloud it's interacting with. So which will let you functionality, which will let you focus on your app more than figuring out how to deploy stuff to various clouds for authentication. This will kind of tee up Ricardo's conversation on hybrid app development as it is, and we'll kind of give you the basics on where to get started and how to get started with app development.
All right. So next on the list, we have Krister and Alexander from our field team, and they are going to share some findings of customer interactions. Joel from the CAT team as well, Joel and Pat. Also another session with customer findings. This is a specific session by Joe and Pat. Will cover the lessons learned with our early adoption customers. And in terms of servicing and update,
I think that's been turned into a breakout session, if I'm not mistaken. But Justin will basically talk in some length about how you should think about updating Azure Stack and what's the approaches that you can take. In fact, how you should think about updating the solution, how often you should update the solution. So we'll talk about that.
All right, Hector, you have a Azure Stack session?
Right, so this is a session specifically talking about the cloud recovery scenario. And in the event of a disaster that renders the system unrecoverable and you actually have to bring everything back. It's actually walking through the phases and all of the actors in each phase, from the partners and OEMs, going through the administrator up into the tenant, and really so you have an understanding of the recovery time objective that you need to think about in the event of the worst case, and that and all the specifics around having to engage the OEMs and who's responsible for bringing the past services back, and can you do a bulk recovery of certain data versus tenant doing an individual recovery. So it's really exposing all of that and understanding how to think about disaster recovery from a bottom-up perspective.
Good. And what happened with you, Alfredo, Brad? You guys have multiple sessions. All of us only have one session. Why is that? I don't understand.
Steam speaker.
Okay. So there is also an SI.
I'll cover that in the next slide.
You covered that? Okay, good. And
You covered Chung session.
Chung, what are you talking about?
So, as many of you know, Azure Stack is an extension of Azure. And the way how we run Azure at Microsoft, we need to make sure that customers, when they get their hands onto Azure Stack, they know how to operate such an environment. To help our customer be ready for Azure Stack, running that in their own environment, we created such a role as called Azure Stack Operator, as what Jay was alluding to in earlier his session. This will be a theater session, fairly short, 20 minutes, and we'll be walking you through what that really means and what are the set of resources that we have created to help customer get the knowledge required to run their environment effectively. So the theater session will be repeated twice. So if you can't make one of the sessions, make sure to go to the other one, and we'll also make sure to stick around for any questions.
Good. So as you folks can see, I mean, we have a very comprehensive set of sessions where you can learn everything from how you size your Azure Stack, how you integrate with the data center, how you get started putting applications on it, how you recover in the unlikely event of something bad happens. So there's definitely a lot of content for you guys to understand Azure Stack end-to-end. Before we move forward, I see something behind VJ's back. Yep. So let's switch back to the camera.
All right, so this is the first reveal. In fact, most of us haven't seen this either. So that is what the front of that T-shirt looks like. And that is what the back of this T-shirt looks like. So, the good news is that anybody who wears this can only be from the Azure Stack team. There's nobody else who's got these T-shirts. So if any of you see anybody with these T-shirts, please stop by and chat to us.
All right, you want to cover the other
let's
slides? So let me share the screen again.
So obviously what we've just shared is the sessions predominantly being delivered by the PM team, but we wanted to kind of go through some other sessions that obviously relate to Azure Stack. As you know, Azure Stack is delivered in an integrated system, and we will have our partners, our OEM partners, plus some other partners at the event. They will have booths, and people will be kind of sharing their stance on Azure Stack as well. So I'll take you through some other sessions. There's a few kind of overview hybrid cloud sessions. If you're getting started on your hybrid cloud journey and want to understand that, take a look at these 3 sessions here. Next slide. So these are the sessions. If you go to your the session catalog and you're doing your session builder, obviously you're going to put in all the 27 sessions we've just shared you. But make sure you add these as well. So Dell EMC will have a particular session. It's called Accelerate Hybrid Cloud Adoption with the Dell EMC Cloud for Azure Stack. HPE again has another session from Microsoft Azure Stack to multi-cloud, how to make Microsoft IT simple. You can all find these in your session catalog. Lenovo Think Agile SX, simplifying your data center, accelerating your time to value. Cisco actually have 2. These names aren't really that hard to find if you go find them. It's here and customers love it. Cisco Integrated System for Azure Stack and Cisco's revolutionary solution for Microsoft Azure Stack. And then the last 2, we pulled out some of our other key partners, Avanade, one of our SIs, thinking about how you deliver Azure Stack with them, and Equinix actually has a session as well. So lots of sessions for you to do. Go to your sessions catalog, add them to your schedule builder. We'll see you there.
All right. Okay, so we covered all the sessions and all the content that we want to share. Again, reinforce, please go to the session builder, making sure that those sessions are on your schedule. Daniel, do we have any questions on the IAM window?
Now, how do I get the T-shirt? That's probably
You talk with VJ. You talk with VJ.
Actually, yes. Send in your resume if you got hired to the PM team in Azure Stack or the Azure Stack team. You can get this T-shirt. Yes, Kenny, I agree with you. It will be the most sought-after T-shirt.
About new hires, should we introduce them?
Yeah, we should. So we've got a few new hires on the team. We've got Pratibha, Teebs, as she likes to call herself. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I just joined 2 weeks ago, and I'm from Virginia. Graduated from the University of Virginia. Excited to be on the team.
I should probably camera. Hey guys, I'm Aparna. I joined the team about a month ago, and I'll be working on marketplace and commerce. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be there in Ignite if you want to stop by and say hi. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's
all right.
Very nice. Okay, good. Wong from China.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Guo from China. I'm working on the focus on strategy. I also will be in the Ignite. I will take some sort of the booth. Welcome to ask me if I have a question about strategy stuff.
So before we break off, I think a couple of questions. If there's anything that you would like us to sort of talk about at Ignite that you don't think we are going to cover in the sessions, please do let us know. We will still include it in some of our sessions and make sure that you know about that. The other thing is, we want to make sure that this is a useful interaction hour for you. So please do share with us on what you would like us to do Hangouts around, right? I mean, this is an experiment for us to understand that this is a way to sort of reach out and have direct conversations with the customers. So anything that you can share with us so we can make this more productive for you would be really, really helpful for us. And if there's a different way you'd like us to interact, please do share that with us as well.
Yeah, and after Ignite, we will have another Hangout, with a summary of the conversations we had at Ignite. So stay tuned. We will have another Hangout soon. If you want to provide feedback, you can also use the comments on this video and on the channel. And this video will be available on the channel in a couple of hours. So with that said, I want to say thank you for everyone that joined, and also thank you for everyone that's going to watch this offline. Thank you for the team joining us in the room, and we'll be at Ignite in less than a week. So I hope see you guys there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.